بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. I ask Allah Ta'ala to grant us a sincere intention and the proper comprehension. I remind you to have a sincere intention in your heart, seeking reward from Allah Ta'ala when attending the lesson. Inshallah Ta'ala, we will continue from where we stopped last time. The chapter of clarification of the categories of kufr. Kufr meaning blasphemy. This is a very important topic that we will be talking about now, inshallah. The author, may Allah have mercy on him, said, "Know, O Muslim brother, of course, and sister, that there are beliefs, doings, and sayings that negate the two testifications of faith and make the person fall into kufr, blasphemy." So the scholars then divided apostasy into three types. Things that make the person who was a Muslim become a non-Muslim. Okay, what are these three categories of apostasy? It says kufr is of three types: kufr beliefs, kufr doings, and kufr sayings. This means if a person had the proper belief, was a Muslim, but then fell into apostasy, committed any of these types of kufr, this means then the person becomes a non-Muslim. Okay, what are these three types which we just mentioned? They are beliefs in the heart, sayings with the tongue, and actions committed by different parts of the body. These are the three categories of apostasy, and we will give examples of each, inshallah. This is by the consensus of the scholars of the four schools, the four madhab, like An-Nawawi and Ibn al-Muqri, and they are of the Shafi'i school, and Ibn Abidin of the Hanafi school, and Al-Buhuti of the Hanbali, and Sheikh Muhammad Alish from the Maliki school. And other than them, also they have divided apostasy into these three categories. So if somebody asks you, from where did you come up with this subdivision? If someone tells you, we've never heard of this, from where are you coming up with this subdivision? You tell them this is something that is known, which the scholars, the prominent scholars of Ahlus Sunnah, they are the ones who mentioned this division and gave examples in their books. So this is mentioned in their books with examples. This is not something new. This is something that the scholars of Islam mentioned in their textbooks and gave examples in order to warn people from such kufr things. So whoever wants, let him consult the books of the scholars. Also, these types were mentioned by scholars from other than these four schools. So other than the four very famous madhab schools, which we just mentioned, there are other scholars from other schools, meaning they reached the level of ijtihad, and they as well mentioned this subdivision. Okay, like who? Like Imam al-Awza'i. He was also a mujtahid, a prominent scholar who attained this high level, high rank in knowledge. So he was also a mujtahid and had his own school of thought, but it was practiced before by many followers of his, but then his followers died and they did not record a lot of his sayings. So it is not as famous as the school of Imam al-Shafi'i or Ahmad ibn Hanbal or Imam Abu Hanifa. They are more famous nowadays, or Imam Malik, of course. They are more famous nowadays. Their knowledge spread more around the world. I repeat what we mentioned last time. Their differences were in some matters pertaining to fiqh, jurisprudence. As to matters pertaining to the basics of the belief, the meaning of the two shahada, Of course, there was no disagreement among these scholars. So all these scholars then that we just mentioned, and other than them, they divided apostasy into these three categories and gave examples. So we will start by talking about the first type, which is beliefs in the heart. This means if a person committed any of these types, even if he believed in a matter that is kufr, but did not utter it with his tongue, he still falls into kufr. Or a person uttered something that is kufr, said it with his tongue, and tells you, but he did not believe it in his heart. But still, he voluntarily said it with his tongue, knowing the meaning, it is still kufr, even if he did not believe in it in his heart. So each is a category by itself, and if one commits a type of any of these three types, the person falls into apostasy, meaning he becomes a non-Muslim. He would have to immediately return to Islam. How does one do that? By saying the two shahada. One returns to Islam if one committed kufr. One returns to Islam by saying the two shahada, the two testifications of faith. No one is God except Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. So whether one says it in his language, in his mother tongue, or in Arabic. But the person has to say the shahada, the two shahada, to return to Islam, not to say, oh Allah, forgive me, not to say astaghfirullah, like some people do. When you tell them that they have committed kufr, they rush to say, oh astaghfirullah, which means, oh Allah, forgive me. No, this will not save them. What makes the person become a Muslim is saying the two shahada, and of course believing in their meaning in one's heart. So then we will start by talking about the type which is beliefs in the heart. The kufr belief which occurs in the heart is, for instance, denying an attribute among the attributes of Allah that are known by consensus, meaning by ijma', to be among the attributes necessary to Him, such as existence, and I will mention others. These attributes of Allah that I'm going to mention now, they are known by the intellect. The scholar said the sound intellect tells you that Allah Ta'ala is attributed with these attributes. So whoever denies any of these attributes would not be a Muslim, even if the person says, but I never heard of them before. It is not an excuse, because the scholars again said here that the sound intellect leads you to knowing that Allah, the Creator, is attributed with these attributes. Okay, so these attributes are existence, that Allah, the Creator, exists, and that His existence has no beginning and no end. Because you know that what has a beginning to its existence, it means it did not exist. Then it became into existence. It means it is in need of the one who brought it into existence. It means it is created. Therefore, for sure, the existence of Allah has no beginning, because the existence of Allah was not preceded by non-existence. Okay, I'm going to mention these matters and repeat them slowly so that inshallah ta'ala they are clear to everyone who is listening. So the Muslim believes that Allah exists and His existence has no beginning. It's eternal. It has no beginning and no end. The existence of Allah was not preceded by non-existence. Okay, so because we said whatever has a beginning to his existence, it means he is created. Like us, we came into existence. We have a beginning to our existence. There was a time we did not exist. Allah Ta'ala created us, so we came into existence. But the existence of Allah has no beginning and no end. And Allah Ta'ala is attributed with power, meaning Allah Ta'ala has power over everything. Allah Ta'ala is attributed with will. Whatever Allah willed to be, it will be. And whatever Allah did not will to be, it will not be. And of course, the Muslim believes that all the attributes of Allah are eternal and everlasting, meaning they have no beginning and no end. And of course, they do not change. God does not change. His attributes do not change. We, the creation, we change. Allah specifies us with these changes. So we change, but the Creator does not change. The attributes of God do not change. So then, the will of Allah, al-Mashi'ah in Arabic, the will of Allah does not change. Whatever Allah eternally, without a beginning, willed to be, it will be. And whatever Allah did not will to be, it will not be. No matter what, it will not be. So, you are in the place where you are at the moment because Allah eternally, meaning without a beginning, eternally, Allah willed for you to be at that place at this time. Therefore, at this moment, you are in your place where you are currently. Okay? Had Allah not willed for you to be there, you would not have been there. We don't know where we will be tomorrow at the same time. We don't know for sure. We're planning, to meet again and have our lesson. Inshallah, this is our plan. Whether this will actually happen or not, we don't know. We do not know the future. Allah Ta'ala knows. Allah Ta'ala eternally willed for that. So, if we live up to tomorrow, we will find out, inshallah ta'ala. So whatever Allah willed to be in the future, it will be. Okay? And nothing changes that. And the will of Allah does not change. God is attributed with hearing. God hears all hearable things without an ear. For Muslims believe that God is not like His creation at all. So for sure, God does not have ears. God does not have a body. Okay, God is not in need of instruments. So you always know, and you teach your children and you teach others as well. We have a face, we have a body, we have body parts, organs, hands, eyes, lips, a tongue. All these are created. God created them, so for sure He is not attributed with any of these. So Allah Ta'ala is attributed with hearing. Allah hears without ears. Allah is attributed with sight. God sees everything that can be seen. Of course, again, without eyes. God sees without eyes. Okay? Allah is attributed with knowledge. God knows about everything. Okay? And the knowledge of Allah, again, does not change. Our knowledge changes. We learn new things, it increases. Sometimes we forget things, so it changes. But the knowledge of the Creator does not change. He knows about all things. He knows about the things before they happen. Nothing is hidden from the knowledge of Allah. Whatever we are thinking of, our intentions, our inclinations, our heartbeat, God knows about all of that. He knows about things before they happen. And only God knows the whole future. Allah Ta'ala is not in need of any of His creation. Okay, He does not need any of us. So when the Muslim performs the good deeds, this is good for the Muslim. Allah is not benefited by that. And when the Muslim commits a sin, this is not good for the Muslim. But Allah is not harmed by that. Okay, Allah does not need His creation. The Creator is not in need of any of His creation. He created us and he does not need us. God is attributed with oneness, meaning that God does not have partners to him in Godhood. This is here what is meant with oneness, okay? It means that God does not have partners to him in Godhood. In Arabic we say ليس له شريك. ليس له شريك في الألوهية. God does not have partners to him in Godhood. We worship Allah and we do not associate partners with him. Okay? And of course, Allah is attributed with life. The life of Allah is not like our life. Our life is composed of flesh, blood, and a soul. We have a soul in us. When it departs our body, when the soul leaves the body, the person dies. The soul is created. The life of Allah is not like our life. It is not composed of flesh. It is not with blood. It is not with a soul. The life of Allah is not like our life at all. So always remember, God is not imagined in the mind. Very simple to understand. God is not imagined in the mind. Whatever we imagine, try now to imagine something. You're imagining maybe the beach, probably. You're imagining a nice place, greenery. Whatever you're imagining, it is something that is created. It is something that has a volume. It has a color, it has a size, it has a shape. This is what we imagine. We imagine created things. And God is the creator. He is not created. He is the creator. So simple. God is not imagined in the mind. Okay, so the person does not say, I want to try and imagine Allah. No, of course not, because God is not imagined in the mind. God is not like the creation. He does not have a body. He does not have a shape. He does not have a color. He does not have a size. He does not have a volume. He does not occupy any space or a direction. He is not like his creation at all. So these attributes that I just mentioned now, and there are others, Allah Ta'ala is attributed with these. And the attributes that I just mentioned now, these are known by the sound mind. Okay, the sound mind leads you to know that Allah is attributed with these attributes. So it is not permissible for a person to deny these. And if a person negates these, he would not be a Muslim. Even if he says the two shahada, he is denying a matter that is among the essentials of the belief, the basics of the belief. He would not be a Muslim. Okay, he would have to say the two shahada to become a Muslim and to believe in their meaning and to believe in these attributes of Allah. Okay, the author, may Allah have mercy on him, said it is also kufr to believe that God is nur, meaning illumination. Okay, now here the author is giving examples of blasphemous beliefs. All right, so first we mentioned some attributes of Allah which the person has to believe in, and if a person negated them, he would not be a Muslim. Now we're mentioning some examples of kufr beliefs. If a person believed them, he would not be a Muslim, such as if a person believed that God is light. Okay, if a person believed that God is light, then he would not be a Muslim. Or if a person believed that God has hands, he would not be a Muslim. Or if he believed that God has a body or any organs, or if he believed that God sits or moves, he would not be a Muslim. He would be attributing a shape to God, which contradicts the two testifications of faith, because we said God is not like his creation. If a person believed that God is in the sky, he would not be a Muslim, because he would be attributing a volume to God. Volume is created. Whatever is in a place has a volume. So it is created. So if a person tells you that God is in the sky, he would be negating the two testifications of faith by that. So he would not be a Muslim, even if he claims that he is, even if he says the two shahada. He has a belief that contradicts the two shahada. If he says about Allah, if he believes about Allah that he is in the sky. Why? Because he is resembling God to the creation by this belief. How is he resembling God to the creation? By him saying that God is in the sky, he is attributing a volume to God. What is the sky? Is a place. Who created it? Allah. Allah created the sky, so it's a place. He is then, if he claims that Allah is in the sky, he is attributing volume to Allah. And he is attributing change to God as well. And we said God does not change. God existed before creating the place, without a place. So after creating places, God does not change. But this person who claims that God is in the sky, he is attributing change to God. He is claiming that God existed without a place, but then changed, and now he is saying he's in a place in the sky. So, subhanAllah, from more than one perspective, this person is committing blasphemy. It is disbelief, okay? Also, if a person tells you about God that he is sitting on the throne and the throne is over the sky, some people might say that, for example, by saying about Allah, by claiming that he sits, he is attributing a body to God, because whatever sits, we sit, humans sit, we have a body. Whatever sits has an upper part and a lower part, So it means it has a body. When the person attributes sitting to God, he is attributing to God having a body. And this goes against the belief of Muslims, against the Quran, okay? Against the meaning of the two shahada. SubhanAllah, when you know these proofs, it is very simple to refute the sayings of some groups that exist nowadays, that with their tongues they say the two shahada, yet unfortunately they have a belief that contradicts the two shahada. They say about Allah that he is in the sky, and we just gave the proof clearly from the Quran and from the sound intellect that this does not befit to be attributed to Allah. We gave the proof from the sound intellect, and we will give the proof from the Quran. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ, means nothing resembles Allah at all. Okay? And there are, of course, other verses in the Quran that also clearly mean that Allah is not like his creation at all. So it's important that the person knows these proofs from the Quran and the sound intellect to refute these people, okay? Not to fall into their trap, because as we mentioned last time, they try to spread these beliefs that contradicts Islam. They try to spread it and mention that to people. SubhanAllah, once I was talking to a person and he said about Allah that he is in the sky. And I'm trying to explain to him that this does not befit to be attributed to Allah. Yet out of his ignorance, he says this doesn't matter. SubhanAllah, this is a matter that pertains the essentials of the belief, the basics of the belief. It is of great importance. Yet some people claim that this doesn't matter. SubhanAllah. It's very important to have the proper belief, to learn, and like we said, to guard this belief, to remain steadfast to the proper belief until death, okay? This is really what saves the person on the day of judgment. All the worldly pleasures in this life, eventually they will come to an end, and you see what is happening around us in the world. So what is important is having the proper belief. So if a person believed that God is a light, an illumination, or that God has a soul, he would not be a Muslim, okay? And a prominent scholar, Sheikh Abdul Ghani al-Nabulsi, he was a very famous scholar. He said, whoever believes that Allah fills the skies and earth, or that he is a body sitting above al-arsh, then he is a kafir, meaning a non-Muslim, a disbeliever, even if he claimed that he is a Muslim. So this is what the righteous, upright scholars say. Because these upright scholars, they follow the teachings of the Quran. They follow the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ. So this is what they said. And there are examples, so many examples of these prominent scholars giving examples of such matters where if a person negates the basics of the belief, they say that he is not a Muslim. Okay? Now, the Kufr Act, for example, now we're moving on to the second category. We gave some examples of the first category, which is beliefs in the heart. Now, inshallah, we will give some examples of the second category, which is actions committed by different parts of the body. So, these actions that we will mention now, if a person does them, he would fall into kufr. Okay, so again, the scholars give examples so that the person is aware and does not do them. The Kufr Act, for example, is like to throw the holy book, meaning the Quran, in the trash, okay? Or amidst filthy things, okay, in the trash. So Ibn Abidin, we mentioned his name, this prominent scholar a while ago, he said, even if the person who threw the Quran, the book of the Quran in the trash, he said, even if he did not intend belittlement by that. Why? He said, because his doing itself entails belittlement. So even if the person who throws the book of the Quran in the trash, if he tells you, but I don't mean to belittle it. What did the scholars say? They said, despite that, he committed kufr, blasphemy, disbelief by that. Why? Because this act shows belittlement. Okay, so even if he says, but I didn't mean to, the act itself shows belittlement, and he knew what he is throwing, that it is the book of the Quran. The author, may Allah have mercy on him, said it is also kufr to throw religious papers amidst filthy things, or any paper that has the name of Allah on it. While knowing, of course, that this name is present on the paper. Okay, we're not talking about the case where the person did not know. No, we're talking about the case where the person knew that the name of Allah is written on it. Okay, such as Allah, such as Ar-Rahman, okay, such as Ar-Razzaq. Okay, if any of the names of Allah Ta'ala is written on the paper, then the person is not allowed to throw that in the trash. Okay, it says, furthermore, whoever hangs the symbols of kufr, okay, on himself would be an apostate, even if he does it with the intent of seeking blessings or glorification, or if he legitimizes that, if he says that this is lawful to do. So if a person hangs a symbol of kufr on himself, okay, with the intent of seeking blessing by that, tabarruk, seeking blessing by that, or glorifying that, or believing that this is lawful to do, then by this he commits disbelief, okay? He would become an apostate. He would become a non-Muslim by that. Also, it is not permissible to throw away the name of the Prophet alayhi salam when what is intended by that is the Prophet. Okay, so if you have on a piece of paper the word Muhammad alayhi salam, and what is intended here with Muhammad is the Prophet alayhi salam, then in this case it is not permissible to throw it in the trash. Also the name Musa, for example, or the name Isa, for example, or Ibrahim. If what is intended by these names, the prophets, then it is not permissible to throw them in the trash. If what is intended is a person, not the prophet, a person, let's say, for example, your brother is called Ibrahim, okay? Your son is called, for example, Isa. In this case, what is meant here is not the prophet. So if a person throws it away, in this case, what is meant here is not the prophet, he would not be committing disbelief by that. Is the difference clear? So the book of the Quran, if a person throws it in the trash, he would commit disbelief, or even one paper of it or one verse of the Quran, okay? If a person throws it in the trash or sits on it or steps on it, this would be an example of disbelief committed by parts of the body, okay? The second type. Inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow we will talk about the third type and give examples. Allah ta'ala knows best.